Well, you see it a lot on newscasts around this time in the summer. There's a lot of health concerns that are very summer-specific, from mosquito-borne illnesses to different bacteria, flesh-eating bacteria, and bodies of water. And then there's problems with grilling and picnics. There's a lot of things that you might be inclined to worry about. So what we would like to do is figure out what you do need to worry about and maybe what you probably don't need to be as worried about as you might be. And to help me with that right now, I'm so happy to be joined by Dr. Virginia Bielek. She's the Director of Infectious Diseases at the Hospital of Central Connecticut. It is a pleasure to meet you, Doctor. How are you?
Good morning, Tim. Great to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. Okay, there's a lot to go over, so let's start with different diseases that people get from mosquitoes. I think the one they hear the most about is West Nile virus. Let's start in real general sense. How much should people be worried about West Nile virus?
Well, West Nile virus is the most common viral illness transmitted by mosquitoes, and summertime is mosquito time. The majority of people who get infected with West Nile virus won't even know that they're infected. About 70 to 80% of people will have no symptoms.
That's amazing.
Perhaps about 1 in 5 people will have a viral-like illness with some fevers, body aches, headaches, but they'll completely recover. About 1% of people who get infected with West Nile virus will develop neurologic illness, and that can be infection of the brain or the covering of the brain, and it can make you sick for a while. The majority of patients will recover. Some will have some residual neurologic findings, but the majority of people will recover completely. And about 10% of people might die. So the chances are very, very small.
Very small.
Very small.
Yeah, I guess prevalence is the single biggest thing. There's just a handful of cases, more or less, in the state each year?
Absolutely, just a handful of cases.
And the good news is, if you want to ward it off, it's pretty much the same things you would want to do just to ward off mosquitoes in general, which is what people are doing in spraying and whatnot.
Absolutely. You should use mosquito or insect repellent, especially when you're outside at night. If possible, wear long sleeves and long pants. Repair your screens so that mosquitoes can't get into your house, and try to avoid breeding mosquitoes. Empty any standing water that you have around your house.
Okay, moving on, we're hearing some news stories. There's parasites that could live in your pool called crypto. Every now and then we hear about these flesh-eating bacteria that's in sort of brackish water. Is that a worry up here? And if so, what do we do to try to stop that from getting in?
Well, the most common parasite that will be transmitted in a swimming pool is Cryptosporidium.
Okay.
And this is a parasite that can give you diarrhea. Usually that diarrhea resolves on its own, especially if you're a healthy person. If your immune system is compromised, you can get more severe disease. The best way to minimize risk to others is don't go swimming if you have had diarrhea. If you have diarrhea now, if you've had diarrhea recently, and try not to swallow water if you're swimming in a pool. Always shower before and after swimming in a pool.
Okay, and yeah, I imagine if you have infants or young children, you might want to take extra precautions to
Absolutely. Take your children out of the pool every hour or so for bathroom breaks. Make sure that if they do have diarrhea, they don't go into the swimming pool.
And now there was a story about, I think, a gentleman in Florida who recently passed away from what we call the flesh-eating bacteria, but I guess it was like necrotizing fasciitis or some sort of disease he got very simply just from swimming in warm water. Is that much of a threat up here in Connecticut?
Well, there are a couple of unusual microorganisms that can be found in water. There is an organism called Vibrio that is found in salt water, usually in the southern part of the United States. Again, if you have a cut or get a cut and you're infected with that organism, you can get very sick, but it's very unusual. A lot of people go swimming in Florida, and it's a very rare occurrence. There's another parasite called Naegleria, again usually found in warm fresh water. In the last 10 years, there have been about 35 cases of Naegleria infection in the United States.
In the United States.
It's a brain infection. It is usually fatal, but again, very unusual. Common sense measures, you try not to get water up your nose because that's how the parasite gets to your brain, through your nose. But again, very unusual.
Okay, good. So maybe we don't want to worry about that so much, and maybe we do want to worry about the potato salad you're going to be making. It seems like food safety might be one of our bigger problems here. Let's talk about that.
It's absolutely true that diarrheal illnesses increase during the summer, Tim, and that has a lot to do with food. You want to make sure that your meat is adequately cooked. You should use a meat thermometer. Chicken should be 165 degrees, hamburger 160 degrees at least. You don't want to cross-contaminate. If you have foods such as eggs or raw meat, you don't want to allow it to come into contact with your foods such as fruits and vegetables that you're eating without cooking. And if once you've finished eating, you want to make sure that you chill your leftovers very quickly, because warm temperatures allow bacteria to grow. Chilling them slows down growth.
Right. I think most people would think about trying to cook the burgers enough, but then forget and they leave them out too long, and that's where you'd run into problems.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Doctor, thank you so much for your time. It's great to be able to separate out and sort of rank what we might need to worry about more than other things. And yeah, the potato salad, the greens, and all that stuff. Well, so thank you so much. I appreciate your knowledge.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, coming up next on Morning Extra, it is July 1st. That means a lot of new laws are taking effect starting today. Fox Connecticut's Crystal Hall is going to take a closer look at just a few of the many, many new ones that's still to come. And don't forget, if you'd like to get breaking news